Welcome to East Coast Bias. I'm your co-host Christian, along with my co-host Jack and Dan, three guys who love a bunch of different East Coast sports teams that we discuss in depth on this show. Today we'll be talking Jets and Giants Week 2 recaps, maybe hit upon the rest of the NFL, and we'll talk some playoff baseball with the last week of the season coming up here. Jack, Jets, let's start there. 2 games, they've scored 3 touchdowns. All 3 have come in the second half where they're down 17 points. 2 of them have been followed by kneel downs by the other team. How bad is this going to get for the New York Jets?
If this isn't rock bottom, they're certainly scraping it with their toes at this point. You know, I think Adam Gase, if we think about this logically, I just can't get through there's so much crap. I got to start at the top and figure this out. The Johnsons have given no indication that they want to or will ever sell the team. So let's assume that we're going to have the same owners, same spending levels, same involvement, non-involvement in player decisions. Fine. So it's interesting that Joe Douglas, the GM, was actually the choice of the coach, Adam Gase. Gase got hired first. They waited too long to fire McCagnon. They let the old GM draft famously in 2019 and then fired him 2 weeks after the draft, which is what a smart NFL franchise does. So I do think that Gase is gone. There's no way that Gase survives into next season. I don't think he survives this season. The Jets have a bye week in week 11. Christian and I were chatting. How does he make it to week 11, especially if they're 0-10 when they get there? I don't think he makes it that long. They're 0-7, 0-8. Greg Williams is already on staff. He's your interim coach for the rest of the year. So I think Gase is gone. I think Joe Douglas keeps his job because of the Jets really they need to rebuild the team. Are they going to rebuild the entire organization by getting rid of Douglas, who just ran this year's draft? And then the choice becomes, go ahead.
As a Jets fan, where does the blame sit with you? I mean, I'm not a Gase fan. I don't think he's a very good head coach, but this team has absolutely no talent. I'm not sure Bill Belichick could win with this team.
Yeah, the blame isn't all Adam Gase's. Adam Gase is a bad head coach. I don't know if he's a bad head coach generally. I think he is, but he's definitely a bad head coach for the Jets. But the blame's not all on him. This has got to go back to personnel people before this. Mike McCagnon, you know, we don't have to go through the record again, but he may be the worst, general managing drafter in the modern history of the NFL. He's that bad. That's the sort of talent he left. And then they made a bunch of bargain buys this offseason thinking that they were going to set up for next season. They traded away, all of their assets. So they let Robbie Anderson go. They didn't necessarily trade him away. Obviously, Adams got traded for a very good haul. They got a bunch of picks coming up, 2 firsts next year, a second, 2 thirds, 2 firsts the year after that. But there is no talent on this team. They activated four wide receivers yesterday. 4. First of all, so if they wanted to go to 5 wide on a play, they couldn't because they didn't have that many guys out there, and they never moved Chris Herndon to wide receiver. The 4 guys, should be the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th guy on somebody else's roster. One of them gets hurt, and then we're left with Josh Malone, Braxton Berrios, and former Penn State lacrosse player Chris Hogan. I mean, that's who was playing wide receiver for the Jets yesterday. Somehow, in less than a season and a half, Adam Gase turned Le'Veon Bell into a useless scrub bench warmer, both in real life and in fantasy if you play it. I mean, how bad a coach do you have to be? But at the same time, he didn't pick all these players, and now they did Joe Douglas. But the Johnsons get some blame for being the owners. But Christian, you asked how bad it's going to get. It's going to bang off a rock bottom in the coming weeks. New York Post and New York Daily News are going to go nuts for the next couple of months. And then the question becomes, if the Jets bottom out that badly, do they get the first overall pick? What do you do?
I was going to say it's so bad. Lucky us to pick a show where we partially focus on the Jets. It's so bad, I don't even know what to ask you. I mean, it's just bad.
No, I don't know. What would you do? Where do you start?
There's no questions to ask.
No, but, I mean, you've got Makai.
Before we go to the draft, though, let's go to Darnold. I want to hear each of your opinions.
Yeah, this I want to hear.
In his third season.
So Darnold has gotten worse.
Is Darnold a franchise quarterback?
At this point, right now, he was at some point, but I think he's just broken enough that you couldn't just plug him into some terrible situation and have him lead, but you might be able to put him on a team that's got a average, to above talent already, and he'll be fine. But every game he's played, the Jets gotten worse. Every game he's regressed. I mean, every time he steps out there, he looks worse.
Yeah.
If you've watched the last 2 weeks, now he's got this thing where he's throwing everything off the back foot on purpose.
Oh, that's
not because he's pressured, just because he's developed like a hitch. And so he's stepping back with his right foot and flinging everything sidearm all of a sudden. I'm not a quarterback. I'm not a quarterback guru, but I've watched enough to know that that's not right. I don't know if he's
Eli used to do that all the time.
All these guys, the only offensive lineman who's been good is Becton. Quinnen Williams had 2 sacks this week, but after Mekhi Becton, Quinnen Williams, and Marcus May, none of them are franchise anything.
Let's say that Becton has looked pretty good too his first 2 weeks. So
he is a franchise left tackle.
There, you've hit on that pick.
Yes.
Yeah, and Darnold, man, I think back to that Rose Bowl a couple years ago where he torched our Nittany Lions, Dan, and he just doesn't look like the same guy.
No, he looked like the truth back then, and he does not look like that guy.
Doesn't even look anywhere close to the same mechanics.
You're describing Mark Sanchez to a T right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Sanchez famously torched.
I think Darnold was always a better talent than Sanchez.
Oh, absolutely. I thought so.
Insert USC quarterback here.
Now, here's the one thing, though. Would you like to see – I'd love to see a play caller who's not employed by Adam Gase call 8 weeks of games for Sam Darnold, because they are bad coaches. I mean, the offensive staff is pretty bad. The play calling is very strange. It's all side to side with them. It's all bubble screens. It's all jet screens.
I think he completed 21 passes today for like 170 yards or something.
Yeah, his yards per attempt
21
is like
for 179.
It's horrible. It just makes no sense. It's like they have all these players, and even the ones that have skill, they've somehow managed to scheme away from it. Herndon's done nothing. He was my breakout offensive guy. My breakout defensive guy, Cashman, got hurt right away. Denzel Mims, their second-round pick this year. The Jets have a notorious history with second-round wide receivers. Denzel Mims, hamstring. He hurt one hamstring in camp, came back, and in the last week, he pulled the other hamstring before being able to get on an NFL field.
Overcompensated trying to get healthy.
I don't know what Joe Namath promised the devil in 1969, but it's still going on. So that's how I feel. Obviously, I'm nice and calm and collected about this. But the Jets are the worst team in the NFL, and I guess at this point, I can't believe I'm going to have a freaking Clemson quarterback I got to root for, but let's tank for Trevor, boys.
Hey, look at it this way.
Outsider view on Darnold.
Well, look, even as bad as it is for the Jets and as off as Sam Darnold might look, I don't know if this is maybe an indictment on the QB rating statistic, not the ESPN proprietary QBR, but the regular old QB rating. Still had a 90 QB rating.
I saw that,
today.
90.9 or something, right?
Which easily bested Daniel Jones' day, which we'll get to later. But there's something salvageable in there, but the Jets better not wait until it's too late. And in my opinion, this week might have been too late. I think they got to get that stink right out of that building as fast as possible, because the Gase Loggins brain trust is doing this franchise dirty.
Yeah, no, I agree. If they can cut him sooner, cut him sooner.
So at this point, are you, is it as a Jets fan, are you lose for Lawrence? What's your mindset going into week 3?
Day 1 of week 3, and I'm already
finished week 2, I guess. Like
I've been 2021 mock drafting online for weeks now already. Well, here's the thing. Where do you guys stand on something like this? If you believe Darnold can be an NFL winning quarterback, your other option is to auction off the first pick if you have it for as much as you can possibly get, and then they'll have 8 or 10 first-round picks over the next 3 to 4 years. Do you do that, or do you take Trevor? Because the rule is if you think he's a sure thing quarterback, you got to take him. I don't know what could you even get for Darnold.
It wouldn't even be a question in my mind.
That's what I mean. If you have the
first pick, I'm taking Lawrence.
So that at this point, I would rather the Jets finish 1-15 and get the first pick than finish 3-13 and get the third, and then choose Gregory Roche and have him be okay, or Jamar Chase pulls a hamstring. Do you know how many pulls hamstrings there are in Jets camp? I mean, every wide receiver at one point in this camp has had a pull hamstring.
That's going across the league, though.
Yeah, this week was brutal for the league.
I just figured the Jets training staff was as bad as every other part of the staff they currently have employed there, but who the heck knows? But it's frustrating as all get out. And everything pisses me off now. The uniforms, the coach, the looks on the coaches' faces. It's just everything.
Those
is just,
University of North Texas
they
homage uniforms they wear.
When you lose in, they look chintzy. In North Texas, yeah, it's terrible. The whole thing is terrible. The stadium's terrible. All of it's terrible. I don't know what
not a great aesthetic going on over there.
Jacksonville looks a lot better than everyone thought they were going to be. I think that I'm not sure.
They pulled a running back out of their butts, which just goes to show you how valuable these running backs really are. And it's found this Robinson guy.
Speaking of finding running backs, can we go over that though? Speaking of Adam Gase and bad coaching, Jets went for it on 4th and 1 today. Came out in a clear run. When they come out in 2 tight ends, they run 71% of the time. So they did last year. So they come out in 2 tight ends. You figure it's a run. They've got Frank Gore, who's got 10 carries on the game. And who do they bring in? Josh Adams. I love Josh Adams. He won a lot of games at Notre Dame. He could not turn the corner on Navy at Notre Dame. I don't understand how you expect that guy to jump cut and get you the first yard there. Instead of a Darnold sneak or fucking throw it in the end zone, pardon my French, just go for it. Instead, they hand it off 3 yards deep to Josh Adams, who gets dropped for a 2-yard loss when a guy they signed in the offseason, Greg Van Roten, hey, Mike Van Roten in Long Island, when Greg Van Roten completely fails to touch the defender across from him on the line of scrimmage, and that guy tackles slow Josh Adams for a 2-yard loss.
Well, you used to have a running back named Raheem Mostert. Whatever happened to him?
We signed Raheem Mostert as an undrafted free agent. He had a monster preseason one year. We put him on the practice squad and then just cut him for no reason a few weeks later. And today, on the first play of the game, 80-yard touchdown run, Raheem Mostert.
Not a finger on him.
I think he achieved the fastest running speed by any running back on one play in the NFL in the past 5 years today against the Jets.
He was a Big Ten track champion. And he also had a 67-yarder called back on a hold. That wasn't obvious hold. Should have been called back, but he also took 67 yards to the house.
Unbelievable.
Hey, and to be fair, a lot of teams missed out on him. There were a lot of teams that had him around and let him go before he ended up with the 49ers and now is a stud.
Well, the Jets are the dumbest. Dan McCagnon's from Jersey. You should be embarrassed to have grown up in the same state that produced McCagnon and his drafting record and ability. That's why this team has no – you couldn't even name –
That's reason number 5,303 that I'm embarrassed to be from New Jersey.
In 2016, they took Ardarius Stewart and Chad Hansen in the 3rd and 4th round. Those were going to be their receivers. Neither one of them is in football right now. They haven't drafted a 1,000-yard receiver since Jericho Cotchery in 2004. The last time they drafted a receiver who made the Pro Bowl was Keyshawn Johnson with the first pick in 1996. Even Wayne Corbett was undrafted. He doesn't count.
At this rate, they could look at Robbie Anderson in the Pro Bowl and they could say that they drafted somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't yell at another team. Let's talk about the happy land that is.
I was gonna say, as bad as the Jets are, and as bad as the Jets have been, no team has lost more games in the past 3 seasons and 2 weeks of this season than the New York Football Giants. Dan, I don't even know what to say. They gave a good effort, but anything to be positive about from today's game?
James Bradbury is good. They hit on a big-time free agent, so good for them. But
let me kick off the complaining. I was real disappointed in the coaching staff today. I thought last week they came out. They clearly had a great game plan on both sides of the ball. They came out. They were aggressive. And this week, the complete opposite. The first half, the Bears started, 4 for 4 on 3rd downs. They went 1 for 8 on 3rd downs last week. They were rushing 3 people every 3rd down against Mitchell Trubisky. You're playing Mitchell Trubisky. You blitz the hell out of him. You get him to throw picks. I was so disappointed in the game plan today. That's about the first of many things I was disappointed in. But
it was zone coverage with 8 people.
They were playing with 3 down and 8 D-backs.
They were afraid of Trubisky running. I don't know. Whatever it was the wrong strategy. It was. Yes. To allow Trubisky to go 4 for 4 on 3rd down to start the game is a travesty.
we talked about last week this amoeba defense and the scheming that Patrick Graham was doing. He brought it back this week, but they had these bizarre looks where they were not even bringing defensive linemen into the game on a third down and just basically throwing linebackers and D-backs out there. And they would blitz out of that look sometimes. They would rush 3 out of that look. The one consistent thing, no matter how many guys they brought towards Trubisky, they never got there. They do not have the pass rushing talent to not be putting the 9,000 nose tackles they have on this team on the field to at least absorb blockers and take up a double team or two to free up somebody for a one-on-one, which the odds are still, even if these guys get one-on-one, they still won't get there.
Does Dexter Lawrence not play 3 downs? He plays his first 2?
But they were taking him and they have a rotation.
The defense, but blitz some of those amoebas. Don't have them all in coverage.
They do, but they're bringing guys like Nate Ebner, depth safeties on.
There were a lot of 3-man rushes today.
I agree with you. I did see it, but I saw one particular play where they brought Nate Ebner out there, and it seemed like every safety and cornerback they had active today. And they brought a whole bunch of them, and they didn't even get anywhere close to Trubisky. It was a perfect pocket for him, and I think he stepped up and completed in this soft zone that they had on the back end. I agree with you on the defensive game planning, and on the offensive game planning. I mean, look, they obviously game planned heavy for Barkley. Shame for Saquon to have to go out the way, and their reports are saying now that it was an ACL, so he is indeed going to be out for the year. So obviously it took them a long time to figure out what they were going to do without Saquon, but I'm interested to see going forward. Does this kind of unleash things a little bit, or maybe unburden the Giants coaching staff from forcing Barkley the ball in the running game? From forcing Shepard, if Shepard's got a broken toe or something of that nature, is going to be out for a while.
Is that what he went out with today? Shepard's hurt again with broken toe?
Yeah, I don't know if it was broken or not, but it was some type of toe injury. And I'll give him credit. He tried to get back in there and play, but he just could not make any cuts. It wasn't going to work. And they have a capable backup for him in Golden Tate, who was active today for the first time.
Golden Tate's good too. Yeah,
Golden Tate. He's not sucking from the Golden Tate. All right, I'll tell you what.
Which is on the Plank Road right behind the stadium.
He's not sucking from the Golden Tate, but he's a capable replacement.
Here at the Prince William County Fair, I heard.
Little faux pas for y'all. But I don't know. I'm interested to see. Maybe they're going to be unburdened and things can open up. I hope they cut Daniel Jones loose, because at this point, what do you have to lose?
Who gets the ball?
They got to cut this kid loose.
Who's Saquon's tailback backups? Not Gallman.
Only the healthy scratch Wayne Gallman today, which was a bizarre roster decision to leave there. If the game plan was so focused on Barkley today, I don't know why they left him butt-ass naked out there.
They only had 2 running backs active.
With Deion Lewis active, Gallman inactive, and Eli Penny, who played all of 5 snaps as the fullback, maybe if that, active. That bizarre roster decisions today.
Joe Judge went to the Adam Gase School of Game Day Management, I see.
Yeah, but here's my problem with the offense today, Dan. They did open, to your point, they did open it up in the second half. They started slinging the ball.
Yeah, I agree.
And same thing I've been yelling about for years. I don't understand why they come out in the first half when Barkley's still there, and they're trying to run this conventional, conservative 1997 offense. And then Barkley goes out, and he starts slinging the ball over the field. They should have been slinging the ball all over the field while Barkley was out there, moving him all around, putting him in the slot, throwing him the ball out of the backfield. They weren't doing any of that in the first half. Right. It was the most conservative.
Took him second overall, right? You got to get him the ball, however you can do it.
I know.
I agree with you, but
they're not getting the ball. Turn around and hand it to him and running them up the middle.
Right. Deep handoff.
This is why this team has been trapped by this pick, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. The team has been trapped by the pick, and Barkley his career has been done in service by coming to this
coaching
team.
Because there are coaches who would use Barkley correctly. And,
I think it's coming from higher than coaching, the way that they want to get him the ball and the scheme that they have to get him the ball.
Dan's referring to God. This is God's doing. You're going to get struck by lightning talking about Saquon like
His will be done, and now hopefully his will no longer be done.
I'll tell you, John Mayer used to be a god in many people's eyes. Not anymore.
Well, he's
not anymore.
His bust is going to be next to Jeff Wilpon in the Fail Son Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's how much his star has fallen.
And to the same point with the Jets, I mean, it's just so glaring today. This team just has no talent. They have no. They've got a couple players, but they have no depth. I mean,
no depth.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard goes out. Who is CJ Board? I don't even know who this guy is.
People are right. I mean, the Jets, same thing. They're putting
playing
guys in.
meaningful snaps. We get one injury, and we got guys in there we never even heard of that we picked up off this scrap heap. We got this guy Ratcliffe, who apparently came from Cleveland. Why we're picking up guys with Cleveland cut, I have no idea.
Well, the Jets signed Alec Ogletree earlier this week, and then started him today because we didn't have anybody else on the inside.
Good luck
Avery
with
Williamson's
that.
hurt again.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Again, a roster decision. Why is Ratley active? They didn't have 5 wide active last week. Why did they decide to activate 5 today and leave themselves short in the backfield? That didn't make any sense. None. And they got, like I said before, they got rightly exposed for it.
They're not using Caden Smith at all. Ingram, at least they got the ball to Ingram today. At least he caught the ball, but he also fell down and caused the interception.
Well, hey, look, he came on late.
Tight end fall down play didn't work again, I see. Huh?
He kind of lives again with the injury to Saquon. He's got, lifeline number 3004 in his career. He's going to be counted on. He's going to be very important. In the second half, he got his act together. What I couldn't figure out is the one play that they ended up throwing to Caden Smith on the goal line was a play that should have been something designed for Evan Ingram. Caden Smith is never going to hit the edge there. That's an Ingram play all the way. I don't know why they ran that.
That was a good play by the defender, though. He pushed him out of bounds where he could get.
Are we going to talk about the last 2 minutes? Or are you guys going to talk? Can someone want to offer an analysis of what the hell happened there?
Start.
Dan, I got to hear your opinion on this. I got to say, I mean, you know me, I love the kill coaches. I didn't think it was that horrible. They had no timeouts, and they had a bunch of incomplete passes that wasted up most of the clock. What was your big concern with it?
Because they took 13 plays to move 50 yards. They had outstanding field position and the 2-minute warning.
Were incomplete passes that took,
I think the problem is they started out with an incomplete pass, and that took them to the 2-minute warning. And that was a serious misuse of that 2 seconds before the 2-minute warning. With the
Bears kicking that field goal before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah. I agree with you. And look,
talk about bad. That was terrible clock management. Why did they give it back before the 2-minute could run out? Exactly.
The only thing
the Bears got a gift from the gods on that doinked pass that went to the offensive lineman that was converted for a first down. They got bailed out by that, but
I've literally never seen that play before, though. I've seen a guy catch it, but I've never seen a guy catch it and get a first down.
It was unbelievable.
I agree with Dan a little bit. I thought the Giants should have been able to get down there and get some ball throws into the end zone, or at least a shot at it. To have that much time, 2 minutes from there, timeouts.
That's all the time in the world.
Yeah, I mean
that's all the time in the world. And look, you'll give Joe Judge a pass.
Jones, though. They got down there. I don't think he threw the ball in the end zone.
I agree with you, and I think a little bit it does definitely have to go on Daniel Jones. But, Judge gets a pass. He's a first-year head coach. I'll give him the pass on that. Jason Garrett is the one who's got to absorb this. I mean, look, he has clock management problems in Dallas, but that's it's inexcusable in my opinion. I understand not everybody agrees on it, but they had more than enough time in that situation for a coaching staff that says, hey, we're teaching our guys situational football. I can't believe that wasn't something that they didn't talk about, a situation that didn't come up, and they failed to execute big time. They could have won that game, and they pissed it away.
Speaking of not knowing situations, can we talk about the onside kick at the end of the Falcons-Cowboys game? Anybody see that?
Unbelievable.
The Falcons, it appeared that the Falcons didn't know it appeared they didn't know that they could touch the ball before 10 yards if they wanted to.
They definitely didn't realize they could touch it.
And then the Cowboys jumped on it. What a comeback. I mean,
hey, look,
Cowboys haven't shown
and they
much.
got Jim Fossil. Cowboys got Jim Fossil, who's the best special teams coach in the business. John Fossil, Jim Fossil. Memories coming back there.
Owners of firefossil.com make their fiery return. It's John. Okay.
Look, Christian, what do you think is the way forward for this team? Are they winning any time in the next 2 weeks?
No.
Are they going to win more than 4 games?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, San Francisco's so banged up.
People
That's what
complaining
I
about
mean.
the turf. People complaining about the MetLife turf today. Swag, it got Bosa, it got Solomon Thomas, it got Perriman.
The
People
Bears
complaining
turf didn't
about how
seem very good
spongy the
today
turf
either.
is
Yeah.
at MetLife.
Yeah, well, I'm not excited about that. Yeah, look, I mean, I picked the Giants to win the division. As bad as this division is, I'm not totally out on the Giants yet, but I think, I think they'd be lucky. What I've seen so far, it was Saquon going out, even the way they were using Saquon when he was there. I think we're looking at a 4 or 5 win team now, unless they can figure something out. And to me, it all goes back to the wide receivers. I'm struggling with this in my head because everyone says, "Oh, wide receivers don't matter. Don't spend anything on wide receivers." Well, we have shitty wide receivers, and we cannot score.
Yeah,
And
move the ball.
nobody makes a play. Nobody moves the ball. So
You have to have terrible
this
wide
is what
receivers.
happens when you
move
don't
the ball.
spend on wide receivers.
Right. And you spent on a
And
running
look,
back. And
you
that
don't
didn't
have to
work.
spend money, but you have to draft them, and they didn't draft one this year.
I know, but still.
But my takeaway from today's game is, look, they were down 17-0 at that. They could have easily quit. They played hard. They came back. To your point, Dan, they could have, and maybe they should have won the game. So I'm encouraged by that. They didn't quit on Judge. If things were getting off to that bad of a start between him and all his running laps and doing all this crazy stuff that no other coach does, maybe guys wouldn't have played as hard as they did. But they don't have a lot of talent, and they found a way to come back and almost win the game today. So that's my main takeaway. But I just keep going back. I mean, Dan, I said it the day he was hired. They got to just get rid of Gettleman. He doesn't know how to build a roster.
Does he survive?
He doesn't know how to build an offensive line. He doesn't know how to build a roster.
There's no way.
Who will be the GM of the New York Giants?
If they're picking top 5 again, there's zero way he can survive.
If they're a lottery pick, he's got to go.
Who will be the GM of the Giants in 2021, you think?
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'd be fine with let Judge just put one of his own guys in there. I mean, anybody but Gettleman is kind of my viewpoint at the moment. I mean, I think he's that bad. And when I look at this roster, proof is in the pudding. But I think it's another top 10 pick season, and God knows they need the talent. So,
knowing the Maras, they're going to go with somebody that they knew or somebody that's been there before. They seem extremely reluctant.
Yeah, they don't
to go for things that they don't either come highly recommended from somebody they know, or to somebody they already know. They don't go outside the circle too often.
Well, that's the problem, right? Let's just speak to the man himself, John Mara. You are killing this franchise. Stop doing what you've been doing. Honestly, pull a Costanza. Make a decision and then implement the exact opposite.
Hire tuna salad on toast, my friends.
John Mara is absolutely killing this franchise. He's killing the fans. He needs to step away. He needs to stop. I don't know what he's doing.
They don't seem to care about winning. They don't seem to care about winning.
If you listen to guys like Michael Lombardi, and he's, I know some people don't like him, but he's NFL
like
insider.
Me, I don't like him.
You don't like him, but he's an NFL. He says John Mara runs the franchise. John Mara makes every decision, makes way too many decisions. They're exactly like you said, Dan. If you're not part of the Giants family, it's really hard to get a job there. They've had the same scouts although I think they have made some changes there recently, but they've had the same scouts for 30 years. It's not working.
But look,
it all goes back to John Mara.
They have John Mara's brother as one of the huge figures in that front office.
Yeah.
So, that's another factor that layers in there.
Maybe Jeff Wilpon can get that job. What do you think, Matos?
I don't know. He's going to be real competitive. He might be tied up with that street vendor job selling pretzels on Fifth Avenue by the time he gets kicked the heck out of Citi Field.
I cannot watch Sunday Night Baseball because I know that A-Rod can hit a baseball and do a lot of things better than I can, but I can't listen to him call baseball games.
No, he's atrocious. He's
I'm trying to scout the Twins for Christian. I was wanted to watch. I can't do it. I just can't.
Look, one other thing that I want to bring up is, and I hate to call you out directly, Christian, but I know he's your boy, Leonard Williams, on that last drive for the Bears.
Yeah, he didn't have a good game today, but nobody did.
Mysteriously looked right at Mitchell Trubisky, who was breaking out, pressured by, I think it was Was it Golden? I think had him down. And Leonard Williams was kind of there hanging out, would have been good support, froze as if Trubisky was going to throw and let Trubisky get the edge, which he converted for a first down. So
today he didn't have a good game, but nobody on the defense did. There was a horrible game plan.
James Bradbury had a good game. James Bradbury had a very good game.
You know who didn't have a good game? Again, shocker, Corey Ballantyne. Can we get this guy off the field?
I don't think so.
I saw him get torched on that touchdown.
He got burned bad on that touchdown.
Embarrassed.
He never left the ground. His feet never left the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Guy went up and got it. He was still spinning around in place to try and find the ball.
A dead duck, if I've ever seen one. I don't know how he didn't even get a hand on that.
But that goes back to the roster and talent. He's starting. And look, okay, we had one guy opt out, another guy held up a poker game and got arrested.
both guys brought here by Dave Gettleman.
That's the John Mara. That's the John Mara way, right? Guys who hold up poker games. Come on, it's not working.
But it's just talent. I mean, when you have to have it, that's why it's hard. You know, I'm disappointed in the game plan, but in terms of how they play, it's hard to be disappointed because Georgia's got to throw Corey Ballantyne out there as a starting corner. I don't know why he keeps doing it. I would just try anyone else at this point. But
it's easy to see the deficiency in this team by looking at its strength. And what is the strength that Dave Gettleman has emphasized, at least when it comes to defense? Middle of the field. The middle of the field, running in between the tackles. But how is that countered? Everything outside. The Bears did everything outside when they were experiencing success today. Runs to the outside, bubble screens, everything outside, and they were killing the Giants with it all day. They don't have any other strength other than the interior of the defensive line.
So if the Giants go 1-15 and win the coin flip and get the first pick, are you taking Trevor Lawrence?
100%.
Same thing applies, right?
100%. Can't think any other way.
Yeah, but only Trevor Lawrence. I'm not, it'll be here this year because, you won't have a quarterback come out of nowhere, but you always do seem to have a quarterback or two come out of nowhere. But I wouldn't take anyone other than Trevor Lawrence. I believe in Daniel Jones. Even after today, I believe in Daniel Jones.
Turn the ball over way too much.
I trade him. I think you get something good for him. I think you get a good return for Jones, but I would definitely take Trevor Lawrence, no doubt about it, and trade Jones.
You get better than you got for Josh Rosen for Daniel Jones, but I agree with you. It's got to be Lawrence. If Lawrence is the number one pick, he comes out of the season healthy. He's the guy. You can't.
Josh Rosen famously puts a hot tub in his freshman dorm when he goes to UCLA to play football.
And I'll tell you this:
the quality of the decision making going on there.
Don't do that bullshit, right?
I still refuse to admit it was a mistake to take Saquon. I think it's been just terrible coaching. But
you're gonna,
I know I'm in the minority on that. But if they have another top 5 pick, I'd be fine taking a wide receiver because again, I'm tired of watching these no talent wide receivers who can't do and can't get open, and even when they do, or they're left open, I should say. Not by anything they've done. They can't do anything when they catch the ball. I'm tired of watching these guys.
You don't like Slayton as a keeper? Is Slayton a keeper?
Slayton is a keeper, but he's just one guy.
One guy, but the rest of the core.
And he's good, but he's not Michael Thomas. I mean, he's not a guy you can throw even when he's double covered. But yeah, he's a keeper. But they won't throw the ball deep. I mean, I'm tired. I'm also tired of these 5-yard passes. Throw the ball down the field to Slayton. The whole NFL today is about getting a pass interference call. Just throw it deep and hope for pass interference. They don't even try it.
They seem scared by the offensive line that they constructed and that they've had so much belief in. They seem freaked out by the offensive line. Maybe rightly so, but again, they're the ones who picked it.
When you went
their responsibility too.
Last week and threw it deep to Slayton, double covered, guess what he did? Got a touchdown pass from 50 yards.
It's true. And let me also note that I saw more protection problems. I think there was they let Khalil Mack go. He walked right into the backfield. I had visions of Bud Dupree last week doing the same thing. Everybody just left him completely alone. That the line didn't adjust to watch him, and he came right in the backfield and made a sack. So they haven't learned that lesson apparently either.
Yeah, this guy Mark Colombo, you're supposed to be a top offensive line coach. Figure it out, man.
From New Jersey, went to Boston College.
Hiring people from New Jersey if that's the issue.
Hey, I will say the Irish are 2-0, and the Big Ten is coming back with football in October. So
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
it'll-
get into the schedule for you Big Ten fans out there as we are.
There is
We'll get into the schedule and
no
season
good
previews
news
coming up on future episodes
in the
of East
NFL.
Coast Bias. But as far as NFL football goes, it's just more misery, boys. I don't know what to say. Let's just talk about the Eagles. Let's just talk about the Eagles real quick to make ourselves feel better. The Eagles suck.
Yeah,
And they thought they were going to be good.
predicted.
So at least some of us knew the Giants were going to be bad.
Nope, not me. I thought the Eagles had enough competence to keep it going. And look, the Eagles always have this way of looking terrible or being out of it, seeming like they're out of it, and then somehow just being competent enough to come back in the end and win the division. So I wouldn't discount that from happening. They certainly have
it's a terrible
all
division.
the pieces.
Let's just be
Right.
honest.
Yeah,
And
who's
it's a
gonna win
horrible
that
division.
I mean, Dallas is probably the best team, but
You had to say Dallas after today, but
they could go 9-7 and win it by 3 games.
they also got
Dallas,
Mike McCarthy as their
Atlanta
head
is so
Yeah.
bad, and they needed every little
Right.
single minute to be able to beat Atlanta at home.
Dallas lost last week.
I'm not big on Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas lost last week. Needed a miracle this week. The Washington football team got crushed by
Washington
Matos's surprise NFC pick. The Arizona Cardinals, I believe, are 2-0 at this point after whacking Washington today. You're right, Christian, by the way. Everyone says Washington football team as often as possible.
Yeah, just say
Washington means the same thing. And Matos, you're right. Dick Stockton, love him. Love listening to that voice, but he just made a lot.
Long in the tooth. He is
used
too
the
old.
R word a couple times.
He did,
Yeah,
but
man,
numbers.
it's fun. I watched that game when they're man. He is fun. That quarterback is fun to watch.
Who is? Which one?
Kyler,
Kyler Murray? Yeah.
Kyler. Oh my God.
he can
He
play,
is
man.
fun to watch.
And
He is
to
so
think-
small, but
to
I've
think-
never seen someone that quick in my life.
Right. They were worried he was going to play baseball. They were worried he's going to go hit 220 in baseball.
But he's a first round pick. I think
he
he
was-
was top
Oh,
10
he's the
pick.
seventh
he
pick
was.
overall. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, remember when they said he wouldn't be because his parents didn't want him to, that he wasn't going to play in the NFL, and now look at him.
I saw that.
The Jets need to look at this and see Cliff Kingsbury, failed in Lubbock with the Red Raiders, but succeeding at the NFL level because this stuff works at the NFL level now.
Well, it just
They
works
gotta
in all
see
of
this.
football.
It
You
it
gotta
works
get
when
it
you find
going.
these guys who can run and have rocket arms.
I mean, I don't want Urban Meyer. If we're going to get rid of Adam Gase, I hate to say, but pay Lincoln Riley. There's
Ryan
no way
Day.
he's leaving Norman to go to New York.
Ryan Day. He's got no
But
allegiance.
Ryan Day, right, exactly. They would make somebody who would take the job at that level, who's a young offensive whiz. Let him bring in his staff. You need to say, I don't believe in the GM player and coaching combo, especially when you're young. You need a GM. I guess Douglas can do that job, but it works elsewhere. It's working.
Yeah, well,
it's time.
it's on
But
to
Kyler
look.
Murray's
Week
fun to
2,
watch.
and we're looking at the draft for both our teams. It's just painful.
Another
I'm
New
glad
York
the NFL's
down the
back.
tubes.
Well, the Ravens
Just
look good.
painful. Can't
The
figure
Ravens-
it out.
The Ravens look good. They're fun to watch. I watched some of them today.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar is just
He's just
Lamar
crazy.
and Kyler are they're just freaks.
I
They're
mean,
absolute freaks. And how about the Chiefs almost going down to the Chargers?
that kicker. Did you guys see the kicker? Butker at the end, he drilled a 53-yarder, but there was a penalty, so then he drilled a 58-yarder, but they'd called timeout to ice him, so he just kicked another 58-yarder to win it.
No, I
Three
didn't see
times.
that. I saw
Yeah,
that
Harrison
block
Butker.
through.
3 times.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And I think each kick was better than the last one. So the first one was good, second one was really good, and the third one was nails. The butt kicker,
Well, it's nice to
Harrison
know
Butker.
some teams out there know how to play football and win games, and some
Yeah.
fans are happy and enjoying
That's cool.
themselves.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy how that can happen in an
Okay.
NFL game. I want to break all my equipment.
All right, boys, let's move over to baseball. Some
Oh,
of us
boy.
are feeling good about our team. Some of us are not. Dan, let's start with the Mets. I think you're about 3 games out of that final wild card spot. A week to go. Any hope for the Mets to make the playoffs?
None whatsoever. The
So positive.
the
Always so positive.
the fact that they somehow are still in this is just lets you know that I think everybody, if you have a pulse, you make the playoffs in the MLB, which is why I think, if they're going to keep this format going forward, the regular season is worthless. It doesn't mean anything. And that's typified by the Mets still being in it. They're out of it. Every time they come back in, they lose a couple of games, or they lose a game in heartbreaking fashion, or they get crushed, and they're just like, oh, we're not a playoff team. So they're Not happening.
Do you feel good about where they are setting up for next season at least? I feel like the Mets are a better place than they were at the end of last season at least.
I would say so. I think the biggest key for this shortened season for the Mets is going to be the fact that they realized Dominic Smith, he finally got to playing time, and he's a total keeper, stud, and that Edwin Diaz has turned things around, maybe turned the corner, and might actually be a long-term closer for the team. So those are two key question marks that are now answered. But it's really too much is up in the air because everybody's biggest question, at least in Metland these days, is what is Uncle Stevie going to do when he comes to the team? Is he going to fire Van Wagenen? Is he going to keep Van Wagenen? What is going to happen? Too many unanswered questions that need to get settled there before you can start thinking about what's the team going to look like going forward. But there are good pieces there. They don't have the starting pitching depth, but there are pieces to work with there. They could be right back in it next year, especially since 900 teams make it in the playoffs. So
you know whose name I saw mentioned as the GM candidate for the Mets today? Theo Epstein.
I saw that article from I don't know if it was Ken Davidoff or Joel Sherman in the Post.
It was one of them.
Hey, look, if it's just a matter of backing up the Brinks truck for Theo, get him to leave Chicago.
I mean, Theo if he can win a World Series in Boston, Chicago, and then come and do something like that with the Mets, I mean, he'll be the greatest baseball executive in the history of
– I think already what he's got in his resume is he's one of the greats. But
but this would make him –
for it.
I mean, why not? Go for it.
What about Dombrowski? You want to win, hire Dombrowski.
I think that Dombrowski is a good move, too. I think Dombrowski is a good move, too.
The Tigers to the World Series. I mean, that guy just wins everywhere. Apparently, he's an asshole because he gets fired.
Yeah, he wears that as well.
Every time he wins, he gets fired right away. But he knows how to win. That would be an interesting candidate to look at.
I've seen him mentioned as well. I don't think that they can go well. Interestingly enough, I heard somebody saying that when Cohen apparently was going to buy the Dodgers a couple of years ago, or maybe like more than a decade ago. I'm not exactly sure how long ago. Arn Tellem was apparently his president of baseball operations pick. They have a close relationship. So maybe they pull something out like that. That name comes back out. But
you can't go super agent after super agent.
Look, I agree with you, but if he likes the guy, he's going to do it. But
Arn Tellem's also the president of the Detroit Pistons right now. So can you really jump? Will he go NBA to MLB like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he would.
He would.
And our first president of the Pistons or the president of the Mets? I mean.
Yeah. I just, will the Mets accept? Will the New York, crowd accept?
That's all about what Uncle Stevie's comfortable with.
My take is you'll accept anyone but Brody.
Right. Who is he? Exactly. He's not he's not a member of the Wilpon or Mara families. And Matos, crazy East Coast biased fun fact. Two of the three co-hosts here spent part of the 80s and 90s playing in a fantasy baseball league with none other than the Arn Tellem.
That's why I said I knew it was a name from the
blast from the
past there.
Facts. I believe the Nats have the exact same record after 51 games that they did last season. Unfortunately, this season is only a 60-game season. So they will not be making a comeback. But any thoughts on what happened to the Nats this year?
They had a doubleheader today. They split. They lost the first, won the second. But they did get to that famed 19-31 number again this year, and there will be no joy in Mudville. Adam Eaton got hurt. Strasburg's hurt. Corbin's getting shelled. Today, Scherzer lost 2-1 when the infield made two errors. Both of those runs were unearned. So instead of winning 1-0, they lost 2-1. It's just been sort of a nightmare half a season for the Nats. The whole thing was disjointed, and I'm just, they're still the defending world champions, and they will be for a couple more weeks, months, and you can't take that title away, but we got to start thinking about 2021. The Nats offense, defense, pitching, funny thing, the bullpen wasn't the problem this year, so they're set there. Top of the rotation looks good, but we really got to talk about who's going to be the fourth and fifth. The Nats have no starting pitching depth whatsoever, so when somebody gets hurt, these swing guys they keep bringing up, they're just not doing it. Anibal Sanchez is coming off the books. Let's go out and get a real starting pitcher to pitch fourth. And then, this lineup was always a bat short. It was probably 2 bats short. Rendon is mashing. Again, though, the Angels are terrible. Rendon is mashing out there, but the Nats got a first base and third base. Let's figure out what the heck we're doing there. They're set in the middle now, it looks like. Eaton's going to go. We got a spot for a big left-handed or right-handed. Doesn't really matter, but another lefty would be nice. A power-hitting left-handed right fielder. If, they come a dime a dozen. Or a first baseman. All these other guys are backups. Thames is a backup. Kendrick at this point is a backup. Cabrera, same. They're good backups, but they shouldn't be playing 80% of your games. Got to figure out what you're going to do with Zim. But, it just wasn't it never got going this year. Too many injuries.
They got to figure this out, though. They can't keep getting off to these 19-31 starts. I mean,
no, they can't. And, now here's the thing, though. This will be their first. This will be their first losing record since 2011. So they've figured out a way to overcome these. It's usually bullpen related, but you're right. They can't keep doing this. Soto and Turner are superstars. But the Nats have got to put together a much better modern offensive lineup around them. This year they were going to play small ball, but they got two guys that mashed and nobody else who's really capable of executing on small ball very well. So it just didn't work. So they got to figure out what kind of roster they want to have. Are they going to mash? Are we going for launch angle, or are we going for moving the runner over and having good bunters? Because
you think they're going to play spoiler to the Phillies this week? I looked at pitching matchups; didn't really look to be in the Nats' favor to play a spoiler role.
They did, and I'm picking. I think that whoever of the Phils and Marlins doesn't finish second is going to grab one of those two wild card spots. So knowing that, I think that no, I don't think the Nats. I don't think they're going to quit. I think they like Davey Martinez, but we just don't have a lot of talent on the field right now. Andrew Stevenson and Michael A. Taylor started in the outfield tonight for the Nats. So I see the face that both of you guys are making. So, it's like the Jets wide receiver situation. I love Michael A. Taylor, but if he's not your fifth outfielder who's coming into the game in the 8th or 9th for defense and is starting alongside Andrew Stevenson, let's pack up the stuff, go to Florida, and reset a little bit.
All right, boys, let's stick with the fun facts. My next fun fact is I think members of the New York Yankees watch East Coast Bias, because if you tuned into episode 3, you heard me call them out, declare them dead, and they went on to win starting the next day, the next 10 games.
Not only just winning, mashing and destroying people, laying waste to all in their path.
And the Red Sox
post home runs in a 3-game series, breaking the record of multiple teams, including the 2019 Nats.
Simply unbelievable.
16 home runs was the record. I think they had ended up with like 18 home runs in 3 games against the Blue Jays. So,
hey, look, getting Stanton and Judge back don't hurt the old efforts there.
Don't hurt, but I'll tell you what, it's a funny feeling going into the playoffs next week, and our 2 best players by far are neither Stanton and Judge. Our 2 best hitters, without a doubt, are Luke Voigt and Clint Frazier. And so to have them just absolutely
no shout out to DJ there. DJ, the leading hitter in the AL.
No, you're right. I was thinking more in the power hitter lineup with Stanton and Judge, but absolutely, it all starts with LeMahieu as the table setter. But after that, so to have those 2 guys just absolutely mashing. Voigt hit his 21st home run today.
What a great year for Voigt.
I think he'll finish second in the MVP race behind Abreu from the White Sox. I can't complain about that. They're pretty much even on homers and RBIs, but Abreu's hitting 330, so no issue with him winning the MVP.
The Yanks did that against the Blue Jays, who are a playoff team in this new modern era.
That was the series to decide who was going to finish second in the AL East, and they just absolutely hammered. The Blue Jays starting pitching is terrible. So I'm not sure how they got to this place in the first part, but they're here, so kudos to them. But so the Yanks, I'm now back to being optimistic. I think Cole has figured it out. They got him his own catcher now. They got Sanchez out of there when he's pitching. Higashioka is now his personal catcher, which is great. And he's found his stuff again. So if he's cheating again, don't care. Whatever it takes, go out there and win.
Turn around on that quick.
Because rubbing is racing. Your tires get all greasy. Rubbing is racing.
Yeah, Tanaka's Tanaka, but he's always been a tremendous playoff pitcher, so I'm confident in him. And then Jay Happ has figured it out again. He's been lights out his past couple. Then we got this kid, Devi Garcia, our number 1 prospect. I think he's 21. He's about 5'7", but throws 97. He's got a couple great secondary pitches. So Hey, I think we got as good a shot as anyone. I'm not excited about playing the Twins because that lineup is just so nasty. But
Twins have been a disappointment this year.
yeah, well, the Twins have been a disappointment, but the White Sox have also just been that good.
Yeah, surprisingly
the White Sox young
excellent.
talent in that lineup is
Yeah.
incredible, and I feel like they kind of came out of nowhere. There were a lot of teams. Padres were being talked about. No one was really focusing on the White Sox, and they are just unbelievable. They're loaded. I'm not sure they have the starting pitching to win it all this year, but they certainly have the lineup to do it. But yeah, Twins. Hey, I bet on the Twins winning the World Series, so I'm right there with you. I wish they were in first place, but if the Yanks can play well this week, we got the Blue Jays again. Then we finish with the Marlins. Jeter can do us a favor, throw us some games. We can get the home field advantage, but it's a 3-game series. Think about it, if you're the Dodgers. How much that sucks. You completely dominated the season. You got to go in, and you got to play the Reds, for instance. With Bauer.
Go against Bauer, Gray, and Luis Castillo.
Castillo's been on fire. So that's.
They get an advantage that they get to play them at Dodger Stadium, though, because
they're all in
Reds are a little bit of a.
But that's not much of an advantage for having the best record in baseball. But I'm excited about the Yankees. I think we got a great shot at it, but it's a complete crapshoot.
It's a crapshoot. It'll be fun to watch. This is a new way. I don't think it's keep it.
You're a whole heck of a lot more confident going in that crapshoot than you were a couple weeks ago. That's for sure.
Absolutely, and the way
say something terrible. Say something bad about the Yankees. They win a couple. They got 6 more.
You got the touch.
The Yankees in no way, shape, or form will win the World Series. Let me say that, and hope I'm wrong about that.
We'll rerun that clip in a couple weeks.
Let's stick with baseball for a moment. Manfred came out this week and said he wanted to stick with the 16-game playoff. Dan, you shared some thoughts on that earlier, but Jack, what are your thoughts? 16-game playoff permanent going forward?
It's too many teams. Too many playoff teams. The number of playoff teams in a major professional sports league should not exceed 50% plus one at any point. And you can't have 30 Major League Baseball teams and have 16 get into the playoffs every year. It's like the Stanley Cup playoffs. I love the Stanley Cup playoffs. There's nothing better than overtime, do or die Stanley Cup playoff hockey games. But who watches all the stuff in the first round? I'm not even, unless the Devils are involved, I'm not totally sure what's going on until later. Don't do that to baseball. If you want to have more teams than you have now, fine. But going all the way to 16, 8 teams, and the way they do it, you got to finish. Why not? If you're going to do that, then why not just the 3 division winners and then the 5 next best records? You got to finish second in your division. So that changes things because now they're trying to keep the divisions valued, by not having just 5 wild cards get in. I think they came up with this more quickly than they thought they would need to, so they hadn't thought it all through. So I don't love the idea of 16. You want to add a team or 2 in each league. I understand that. There's more money in broadcasting more playoff games, but 16 is way too many. There are traditions in baseball that I'm perfectly willing to let go, but starting innings with no runners on base and having less than 16 playoff teams are 2 things that I'm going to stand by.
Dan, what do you think?
I agree. It's a money move. I understand why they want to do it. They can sell those extra games. They're going to need revenue because of this shortened season and the impact it's had on the league and the teams, I'm sure. But like I said, it makes the regular season completely irrelevant. You echoed this when you're talking about, what are the Dodgers going to do when they win all those games in the regular season. They have to play a 3-game series against a team with really good starting pitching. It's ridiculous. It's unnecessary, but it's all driven by the almighty dollar, so it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, what's fun? The freaking wild card game is great. It's the best thing that Major League Baseball has done in a little bit. It's one game, 2 Major League teams. It's like your softball league. Mm-hmm. Everyone shows up, you play one game, and then that's it. There's no travel, no prognosticating, no analysis. Whoever's pitcher might be better tonight, you get to move on. I love it. Don't change that now.
If I can say one thing from a selfish perspective, I am a big-time fantasy baseball player. The end of the season for fantasy baseball is the worst come playoff time, come the home stretch for roto leagues, when teams are mixing up their starting rotations and benching guys and all kinds of crazy things are going on. This is going to make it even worse because I see they're expecting a lot of teams are going to be reconfiguring their rotations coming up at the end of next week, and guys may not be benched, and that's just devastating for us fantasy baseball players. So that's another negative, a little selfish negative, but a negative nonetheless.
I'm sure
No,
Rob
I agree with you guys. I think 16 way too many. I'd say go to 12, but you can keep it at 12. But 16 is way too many. But I would say, I mean, if it seems like they're going to do it, it's all about money, right? So they're definitely going to do it. Yeah, at that point, I get rid of
Train has left the station.
I'd get rid of the divisions, and I just do 2 leagues and just have the teams, seed from the 2 leagues. But I think it's kind of stupid to have these divisions when you're going to have 16 teams in the playoffs. I'm not really sure what the point is. But that's just one man's opinion. All right, sticking with baseball. Tigers manager Ron Gardenhire retired out of nowhere with some health worries this week. AJ Hinch in the news is reportedly going to be one of their candidates, and the Red Sox are talking about bringing Alex Cora back after his 1-year suspension to take his old job as Red Sox manager. Will either AJ Hinch or Alex Cora be managing in Major League Baseball in 2021? Dan?
I think they both will be. I don't think it's fair to have these guys blacklisted. I've said it before that I know they were cheating, but I think all major league teams cheat. It's just that the Astros were doing it to a better and more advanced degree than anybody else. They got busted. They got punished. They did their time. They had their year suspension. They're bright minds. Everybody respected them before this news of this hit. I think they're both in. Cora, I think he'll probably be back in Boston. And Hinch will be somewhere, maybe Detroit. I don't know where else, but he'll be back.
Jack?
So I'm going to say no, they're not managing in 2021, but I'm not saying it's out of the question in the future. And I don't think this because of the moral fortitude of 30 Major League Baseball teams. I do think, though, that if one of the teams were to try and hire one of these guys this year, the Major League Baseball commissioner wields a lot of power when it comes to the commissioner-league relationship there. Don't you think that Manfred would back channel to them and say, listen, maybe don't hire AJ Hinch right now? This is something
you said this year, 2020 or 2021?
For next season, for 2021.
Yeah.
God forbid not. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. Why would an owner choose to rain that sort of crap on their own franchise and have to maybe go against the wishes of the powers that be?
So your take is they will have interest, but Manfred will
he'll put the kibosh on it. He'll quietly put the kibosh on it, at least for next season. And then people will have forgotten in 6 years, and then AJ Hinch and Alex Cora can manage whoever the hell they want. I mean, A-Rod cheated, and he's on every damn baseball broadcast in every country, on every night. So
in true Manfred fashion, then he boned that up, because why not just suspend him for 2 years if you don't want him back next year? If you're going to pull that kind of Machiavellian behind-the-scenes nonsense, don't suspend him for 1 year, suspend him for 2.
Well, because maybe he wanted someone to have to be able to come to them in a year and say, can we do this? And then know that he'll hold a favor of them. If you're going to Machiavelli, if instead of boning it up, as you said, I like that, by the way, East Coast bias, always boning it up. But he's so Machiavelli that he thought that far ahead, so he purposely did it for 1 year. But you're right.
I don't think Rob Manfred is that smart.
Maybe I'm
overestimating. Too much credit.
Maybe I'm overestimating the Ivy League credentials of the MLB, executive office. Who knows? But
in rare East Coast bias fashion, someone's just made a great point. Jack, I was all set to agree with Dan here, but now you got me thinking, because Manfred does seem like a petty guy who would do something.
That's what I mean.
But I'm going to stick with my gun. I'm going to agree with Dan on this one. I think they're both back managing in 2021, and they should be. Look, no one got screwed more than my team, the Yankees, by these 2 guys cheating. But as Dan said, they were the ones who actually got punished. No one else did, but they got punished. They served their time. They both lost really good jobs, which had to suck. So they both should be back.
If Hinch goes to manage the Tigers and Detroit has to go to play the Dodgers in L.A., I mean, does the first batter getting beans? I mean, there are other things that play here by bringing, you know what I mean? Like, you're putting your players in danger by hiring, at least for a game, a week, a month.
Yeah, but he's a good manager.
Until every team's gotten one shot at AJ Hinch's guys. Like, when does it end? Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know if they would do that for a manager. Maybe. But look,
When
he's
you
a good
cheat to win the
manager.
world, when you cheat to win the World Series, I think a lot of stink stays on you for a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of these baseball guys are fucking competitive nuts. That's why they're fans of ECB, because they like their
Yeah.
sports and they care about them. And yeah, I think they're not gonna passively say, time's gone by, it's okay. No, they're gonna get theirs, and you can't run into the other team's dugout and tackle the manager. So the guy who goes up the bat gets hit instead.
And one guy who got screwed by this and who is not going to get any benefit out of this, and I wonder if he ever gets a job again, is my man Carlos Beltran.
Yeah.
I just don't know what is ever going to happen with his career. I don't know who, like the Mets, is going to take a step out there and give him that first managerial gig. That's just a shame
That's
for him.
one I don't think we'll see Beltran again because he doesn't. There's no record to go on if you hire
Nope.
him.
Yeah, you
With
don't know.
Hinch
You're
and
not
Cora,
right.
you
Nope.
can say they
That's
won
one
World
thing.
Series. That's why we're hiring him. With Beltran, you don't have anything
Yeah.
to fall back on to explain to your fans why you're hiring him. And I'm not sure he would want another job after what he went through.
I possibly, but
Hey, if somebody needs a coach to teach a team how to take a curveball to end a playoff series, it's right over the plate. You can't get a better guy than Carlos Beltran. So there's always going to be room out there for a coach there.
I have no reaction to that comment. Thank you very much.
It's
All
purposely.
right, boys. On that note, let's end it before we have our own brawl. Great show. Disappointing week in football, but how can we expect anything else at this point? Everyone enjoy the last week of regular season baseball. Like our videos if you haven't subscribed to our page, please. And we'll be back next week with another edition of East Coast Bias.